What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Takeover Pod, where we go against the grain and keep God first in all that we do. I'm Jay.
And I'm Dorian.
And we are just so grateful for you joining and listening to us, whether it's video or whether it's audio. We just thank you guys so much for supporting us. And thank you guys so much for just the feedback we got in the first episode as well. So we got a really hot topic today, and it's titled, Can You Love God and Dislike Church?
Dang.
Yeah.
That don't sound like that go together.
Well, we about to find out, aren't we? We about to find out. A lot of people might be a little nervous right now, but I want to go through some stats, if that's okay.
Yeah.
So just give me a moment, and shout out to Gallup and a Pew Research Center and Missional Marketing for the info that I received. So here we go. 20% of Americans attend church every week. 41% of Americans are in monthly church attendance or more. 57% of Americans are seldom or never in religious service attendance. Regular church attendance has steadily declined since the turn of the century. That's the year 2000. 40% of millennials are religiously unaffiliated. 77% of non-church going members of Generation Z are looking for churches that help the poor. 72% of non-church going members of Generation Z have doubts about the existence of God.
Wow. I mean, yeah. Go on.
73% of non-church going members of Generation Z are looking for churches that address mental health. So they ain't just looking just to go to church and have a
Just
good time.
cause.
They're looking for, some sort of mission. Okay. And 69% of non-church going members of Generation Z are looking for churches that provide opportunities to help others. So that kind of supports the other one, which we're not just going to church to see each other.
Right.
We going to church. If I'm going to church, y'all better be
For something.
Y'all better be about
you better
something.
do something.
Right? Y'all better be about something. Okay. So here's the thing. These stats that I just read,
Yeah.
pre-pandemic.
Oh, no.
Pre-pandemic.
Wow.
The numbers are actually much worse after.
I would think so. Yeah.
So I done said a whole lot. Okay, I done read a whole lot of stats. What are your thoughts on the stats that I just read?
I mean, I don't know. They not all that good.
It's like a report card.
I'm like, dang, that really wasn't all that good. I mean, the one that really hit me was, well, first of all, that 20% of Americans attend church every week. That's like 80% don't. I mean, that's like, wow.
Yeah, and I mean, of course, there's, this is a poll. So it may not be 1,000%. Obviously,
True.
Right.
True.
But what it does say is that church is not a priority like it used to be.
Or church, as we think of it in the traditional sense, is not. It looks very different now.
Bingo.
Or right before the pandemic, because these are pre-pandemic numbers. So even prior to. And then the other one that hit me was, oh, Lord, the 57% of Americans are seldom or never in a religious service attendance. So that was more than half pre-pandemic, seldom or ever.
Yeah.
So definitely worsening now. And I mean, it says a lot. And this topic, can we love God, dislike church? I mean, it kind of makes sense that the numbers are like that, because I feel like a lot of people don't like church.
Yeah.
And what it's become.
What it's become.
So, and we've talked before, like, talking about church, like when the church first started back in the book of Acts, what they did back then, we don't be seeing that now. Like, it's different. It's not the same. It's like the power and the unity and all of the things that happened when the church first began. We don't see those things now.
Yeah. I feel like church has become more commercialized.
True.
I think, one of the things that has happened that we have experienced is it's kind of like cookie cutters. That cookie cutting mentality in which, why do you all have to do the same thing? And even when it comes to certain marketing,
True.
Everything kind of looks the same.
Yeah.
And you go into, and I'm not ragging on any church that has this, but like, it's almost like a prerequisite. You have to have an LED screen. And I've been to churches that were small.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this was like y'all mortgage that y'all pay for the LED screen. And like, y'all sound system ain't all that great. You know what I'm saying? Like, y'all could have used that for, better sound, or maybe for community ministry and stuff like that. But it's kind of like, that's the end thing to do. Like, you have to have an LED screen, or we have to go live. And this is what we learned watching during the pandemic is we have to go live, but it's on somebody's phone and it got paused because somebody's calling you.
Jay, and when we was recording in the beginning, it was like,
but we put it on Do Not Disturb.
Because it's like that. That would be the worst, and it's embarrassing. It's like, seriously though.
But like my point is, like, if you're not ready to do it, don't.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? But it's like everybody else is doing it,
so we got to do it, even if it looks like Dollar Tree. It's just like, listen,
she went Dollar Tree.
It be small begin, like, it's okay. It's okay. But it is like,
shout out to Dollar Tree too. Y'all still got,
look,
got
I
some
be
good
coming
stuff.
through the Dollar Tree,
if y'all ever
especially when we be like silverware and stuff.
Hey, look, they got some good. I would stop,
because we about to go on a whole nother. Just stop. Now look,
this is about to be a Dollar Tree episode.
But like, for real, like when I read through the book of Acts, first of all, it makes me feel so encouraged, because it's like, we can do these things. Right. When people would bring their sick and they would be healed, there was so much unity there that people was like bringing their land and their belongings, like, here, use this for whatever we needed to do.
Right.
Just use it. Like, there was such a sense of unity that, and I've been like really serious about my walk with the Lord probably since like 04, 05. And I have not ever experienced anything like what I read about. And I know that my attendance at church, especially in the beginning, was because, one, you think that's what you're supposed to do.
Right.
Because if you calling yourself a Christian and you ain't going to church, that don't mix. Like, how you... there was definitely this thing, like, it is attached, whether or not you attend church is attached to your salvation, how good of a Christian you are, how you getting into heaven. Like, it was attached to a lot of things. But it wasn't doing the things that, like, it wasn't a reciprocal type thing.
Yeah. Well, I was raised traditional Baptist. I've been in church my entire life.
Right.
And you're exactly right. When people would go to church and they would be missing, the first thing that we would do is we would connect it to their faith.
Or they done backslid.
And their commitment to God.
Right.
Instead of, and I think too, that's the issue, 80s and 90s is a different time. But like, I think that was kind of the issue as well, is when somebody's missing, instead of reaching out and saying like, are you good?
Right.
It was kind of like mixed with some judgmental mentality in which, that joker, he done backslid.
He's smoking again. You back with that dude.
Yeah,
you back. You doing it.
How could you turn your back? How could you turn your back on God? And it's kind of like, well, did they turn their back on
that
God,
really what happened?
Or maybe they got stuff going on,
or maybe they saw some stuff that happened.
Because here's the thing,
you
too.
are right.
Here's the thing too.
Now you right. Say that.
Work shaming for people on Sundays was a huge thing back in the day, and I mean, I remember hearing people, basically, turning down job opportunities because their pastor said, nah, man, that ain't of God. This is paying like $55,000, and y'all in the 90s, that's real good money. Okay. And being told not to take that job and keep your $30,000 a year job that you work in, on days it doesn't have you on Sundays, like, that's wild. But it was because you were shamed in being in church, because if something took place on days of church, that means you weren't committed to God.
Yep. And don't let something happen to you during the week. Your car break down, your money looking funny.
That's job you got on Sunday.
But it's just like, it's like, that's because you ain't go to church on Sunday.
Oh, yeah, that.
That's because you ain't. Did you go to church?
Yeah.
And it just became a thing, like, my church attendance was almost like checking myself off in the book of Jesus. Like, I went, so I'm good. Yeah. But it turns right into, we're going about our salvation by works. If I go to church, I'm good with God. That don't got nothing to do with what I'm doing during the week, what I'm thinking about other people, just all the other things. It was just like, but I went to church, so I'm good. And it's totally like, but no. Because Paul talks about that in Ephesians, like we're saved by faith. It's not about works. So if I've never stepped foot in a church, I can still be good with God. I mean, that ain't what we gonna delve into it a little bit more. Like, that ain't what we ain't like, don't go to church. It has no benefit, because it does. Yeah, it does have benefit. But looking at it as it is the be all to end all to validate our faith in God, our relationship with Jesus, that's incorrect.
Yeah. Well, I think we're setting a great foundation. So this leads me into the next question. Now that we've shared all this, why do you think the church has failed to reach a diverse audience? Since we're showing these stats and we're showing, we're talking about it, why do you feel like the church has failed to reach a diverse audience? Now, diverse means, because I know a lot of people might be thinking just with traditional or general, thoughts, it's not just black and white. Because I think a lot of times when you think about diverse audience, you think we need more black people. We need more white people. That's not what I'm talking about. That could be culturally, but I'm talking about people who aren't unchurched.
That's correct.
Right? So people who won't step foot in the church, people who are out on the street, people who are part of the LGBTQ plus, community. I'm talking about that audience. Why has the church failed to reach that audience, that diverse audience? People who don't look traditionally like.
Right. The ones that should get in. Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, if you look at, and I mean, of course, we speak about our experience too, but what do the churches look like that are okay, so you go into church on a Sunday, any given Sunday or any given Wednesday, what do the people look like? And it's usually not that diverse, not just talking about skin color and ethnicity, but also, like the things you're talking about, like piercings, tats. Is there somebody, LGBTQ plus, like all of those things? If I don't see someone that looks like me or where I am, I'm not going to feel like I belong there, and I'm not going to want to be there. So if our gatherings are not diverse, we're not going to draw we're not going to draw diverse people. Like, that's just where it is. And sometimes it does just seem like, the churches that we've been in, they've been predominantly African American, except maybe like one. But it was one was predominantly Caucasian. So it seems like it's usually a predominance of one, one type or what a person would look like. It's like one or the other.
I'm glad you said that, because it reminds me of there's a, I'm not going to say their name. Obviously, we don't do names in here like that. But there was a bishop who I know who shared that he was redoing his fellowship of churches. And he had shared that basically he had an awakening that he needed to involve the community more. So instead of having traditional pastors and things like that be a part of the fellowship, he was allowing musicians, business owners, singers, people with podcasts like us, just regular folk, people off the street who wanted to be a part of the fellowship so it could grow and show what the true kingdom of God looks like.
Right.
So really excited about it. I saw it. So I followed, him obviously, and they had their conference, what most people call convocation. But it kind of made me a little nervous when I saw some of the preachers that were going to be there, because they were all traditional. But I was like, you know what? It's cool.
Give it a chance.
No big deal.
See what happens.
So then I saw the service that they had on Sunday, and I tuned in. I'm like, okay, this is going to be cool, because everybody going to be casually dressed. Everybody's come as you are.
Yeah. It's like come as you not.
80% of the people that were there were wearing robes.
Oh.
Okay. 80% of the sisters that were there, if they weren't wearing robes, they were wearing all white, right? With white, coverings on their head. And the other people were in suits. They were wearing their Sunday's best.
Got it.
I was so disappointed and grief stricken about this, because all I could think is, if I am coming off the street,
right,
to be a part of this after seeing the promotion and all that kind of stuff, and I see all the people who are wearing robes and all that kind of stuff, I'm not even sitting down. I'm turning around and walking.
Yeah.
Because to your point,
I don't belong.
I don't belong.
Yeah.
And we can tell people, the church can tell folk that you don't belong without ever opening up your mouth.
True.
We can say that you don't belong just by the way that we look, by the way we treat you, by us saying, okay, you sis, you got a little bit of your belly showing. You gonna sit all the way in the back.
That happened to me. That happened to me before.
It happened to you?
I remember. This was like my first. I was trying, y'all. I was trying. You know how you just be trying, like, I'm gonna just try my best with this Jesus thing. And this was when I went to the first church that I went to.
Okay.
And then I went, and it was this jean skirt, because back then you be wearing like the denim skirts and stuff.
The denim
But y'all
age.
know how you sit down with a skirt on, the skirt goes up, right?
Yeah.
So when I stand up, the skirt was probably like, it was a little above my knee. Okay. Maybe like a hand's palm above my knee.
That's not.
So when I sat down, though, that thing was like mid-thigh.
Okay.
So, yeah, this woman comes up to me. I was already sitting more towards the back, but this woman comes up to me. She was like, put this over your legs. I looked at my friend like, no, I was more towards the back. I looked at my friend who I was there because we both was just trying. Like, we just trying.
Yeah.
And I said to her, I was like, no, she didn't. Like, but I mean, I stayed there because at the time I didn't know where else to go. Like, I was like, okay, well, I'm here, so I'm here. But was case in point, because something like that, I could have easily just been like, see, I was trying, but you know, these judgment, and it's like, I get now why she did that. But it is even because here's the thing. So sometimes you may go into a church service and everyone does not have to, they may look all the same. They may look whatever, but it's just is the spirit of just being welcome there.
Right.
Because even if I go in, like if I would have went into this convocation and was looking like, I'm dressed like I'm dressed today.
Right.
And I'm looking and I'm already feeling insecure because it's like, clearly I don't look like these people and I don't look like I belong.
Right.
But if that welcoming spirit is there, you're going to feel welcome.
Right.
And sometimes you see people and it already kind of, you make judgments. Like we try to act like you're not judging, but we all do it.
We all do.
And it's just like, okay, they looking like that. So that's this type of person. And unfortunately, we present with that instead of the open, welcoming, love of Christ.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and that's an excellent story to share, because that experience could have turned you off from church completely.
Definitely. Because it's just like, oh, for real?
And I think the issue too is that person was trying to help, but
it was the way it was done.
Exactly.
The way it was done.
It was the way that it was done. So like, just because you're trying to help doesn't mean you can't do damage.
Because I was just like, no, she didn't come over here like that. Like,
Yeah.
But that's where I was in my walk with God. And it was very early, I was a baby in that sense. But, it does speak to like us just being mindful of how we're embracing when we do say, come as you are. What does that mean? And dealing with our own bias, because we're not going to draw any diversity if, internally we're not diverse enough that we can, embrace and welcome anybody, no matter what they look like or what their sexual orientation is, or, where they've been. Like, I mean, later for all that really doesn't matter. The Lord is about drawing souls to him, and he don't care about that stuff. Like, he'll get that together. But it's like, as the believers, we have to be the ones that are like, I ain't even worried about that.
Right.
Come on up in here and let me show you the love of God.
Well, that leads us into our next point.
Okay.
Our next question. So for the people who do not attend church regularly, is it possible to have a close relationship with God without regularly in-person church attendance?
I don't know what you think. You ain't going to set me up. You ain't setting me up. I know
because I was waiting for you to say something, and I would just be like, I believe, everybody should go to church. And, no, so I'll answer it first. Yes.
Okay. You said that with
Thanks, everybody, for the
You know what? Like, you said that with the confidence.
You have to have a cliffhanger. It's like watching Power. Y'all think Unique is dead? No, all right. No, I'm joking.
What? What? See, this is why, and we be all off the path.
I mean, listen. I mean, look. I mean, hey,
stay on. Let's stay on.
You don't watch Power like that, so
I don't watch Power.
Okay.
But let's just stay on. Let's stay on task here.
I still think Ghost is alive, but
okay.
I think yes. No, I think yes, because a great example is the pandemic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Come on.
The pandemic is the first time. Okay. The first time. The first time.
Okay. What?
That I missed church 2 Sundays in a row in my life.
Really? Like in your whole life?
My whole life.
You ain't never get sick or have go on a vacation or like you?
I missed church. Thank you.
That's like, that is like, what is it called?
I get an extra crown of heaven
attendance or something when you be in school and you never miss a day?
I am going to win my perfect attendance for a good
Well, you don't get perfect because you still, no.
Thank you, Jesus.
You still missed it. You didn't get 100%.
I was on a streak.
Yeah, but you broke it. So.
Yeah, but I get honor for that streak.
No, you don't.
Yeah, I do. The devil's a liar. I'm getting my crown.
So you really, like, you never missed
No, so I would miss
service.
Yeah, I mean, you get sick and stuff like that, but I never missed two Sundays in a row.
Wow, that's
ever.
impressive.
Ever. You know, even when we had the kids, you know, I would be there, but then I would go to church.
Well, where was I at?
You
just going to leave me as a heathen with these kids. Like, oh, great.
You was home with Josh.
Just let me burn.
You was home with Josh. And for those of you who you know, have, you know, babies or have had babies, you know, it's probably good for one person or the other to get out of the house after, you know, a week or so. Because, you know, y'all get on each other's nerves and all that kind of stuff. So I'm pretty sure you were like, have fun.
Probably was.
But I say all that to say it was the first time and it was weird.
Yeah.
Because my thing was just like, wow, like, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
And, you know, the first couple of weeks was kind of crazy because obviously this is when we were supposed to flatten the curve and all that kind of stuff. And that turned out to be 2.5 years, you know, and I was just kind of lost because I'd also lost my schedule, my work schedule, because I travel for work. True. And, you know, I just remember just kind of after a couple of weeks, just thinking to myself, God, what do I do? And he was like, get to know me better.
Oh.
Get to know me better because
there's an answer.
You are putting way too much faith in a building.
Wow.
Than me.
That's messed up.
You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
And what happened for me was I had a closer relationship with God. Yeah. That's all I had. Because during the pandemic, couldn't go nowhere. And I started to pray more, started to, you know, read the word more, understand more, especially my prayer life, though. My prayer life got a lot better. And another thing that I started to do, that we started to do, was instead of tithing to a church, we started tithing to people that were in need.
Oh, you're in trouble.
Uh-oh.
You in there like, don't be.
I can literally hear some people clicking off right now. But like, nah, he didn't went too far. He didn't went too far. I don't know. Antoine, what you think, man? You think people leaving us right now?
There's a huge possibility.
You can't do that.
I can see the numbers going down right now as I just spoke. I can see people kind of like, yeah, okay. Yep, got it. Nope, nah, man. I got to get up off of that. But when I tell you, God blessed me and us.
He did.
Financially more than he ever has. When we started tithing into people instead of churches. And I'm not trying to tell people to stop tithing. I'm not saying we're against tithing. Okay, we still tithe, but we don't tithe to a church specifically. We tithe into families in need. We tithe into people. You know what I'm saying? And God has blessed us abundantly. You know?
It is true.
And we are like hybrid virtual church goers. Because we're not members of a church.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So I say all that to say, yes, because God has blessed me and blessed us abundantly since we've had this. Everybody's using the word awakening now. I don't know if it's an awakening,
is that a thing?
But I think for me, it's kind of like a shift, a pivot.
Yeah.
In which we got closer with God.
Yeah. The pandemic, you know, we definitely started to see things differently. We didn't really have a choice. You are correct.
None.
And when, you know, we were talking about this question, I was thinking about like back in the day, you know, I'm always just like, okay, I know what I have in my brain, but you know, is this like, God, what are you saying about this? And I was thinking about like back in the Old Testament, like when Abraham was around, Noah and them wasn't around, no church. There was no church.
Right.
They had close relationships with the Lord, but there was no church. There was nothing set up like what we know as
Churches
a gathering today.
Right.
Now, once they started, you know, the temple came into play, then there was at least corporate worship where you have everybody come together and we are here to either, you know, bring our sacrifices. We're here to, you know, then there was that. So, but there are benefits of church. So it's not to just say just like dead out, like, nah, you don't need church. Just go about your business. You got your relationship.
Right.
At the foundation of things, that is what it is. Because the church is just a group of people that have individual relationships.
We are the church, yes.
That is us,
yes.
you know?
We are the church.
So there's that. But there are some benefits of being in a body of believers. Back when my skirt was short and she gave me that thing, I need to not be in church. Like, I was trying to get my life together. I needed the structure that church, because y'all already know. I be up here like, I'm going to get up early and I'm going to pray. And mess around, get up early and be sleep. I'll be on my knees, sleep, y'all. Like, church does give you a structure and like a thing to where that is just like, this is what I do. This is where I am. This is where I go. This is my routine. Now, at this point, we don't belong to a church. We do attend most of the time. We on whoever the Lord leads us to for that week,
right.
As far as, different Bible study sermons and this and that. But this is now at least 20 years in. You've been in church all of your life.
Our whole life. I've been a minister since I was 18 years old.
So there's a place for a church. It just can't be the cornerstone, like that's where, and if I don't get there and if I don't do that, then that means that I don't have a relationship, which it seems like is what it has kind of evolved into.
Right.
And that's what we're just like, no, that's not true. And if somebody ever came to you and was just like, well, you ain't getting in because you ain't going to church, or you're not a member of a church, so you don't have a cover. Well, that's a whole other thing. That
Lord,
covering thing.
We're going to have to talk about that. That's going to be a future podcast episode.
But, trying to put these laws around what satisfies the requirement for a relationship with God. And, church is definitely something that can better our relationship with the Lord in some ways.
Yes.
It definitely gives us more depth. There's a lot of learning there. You learn about your gifts. There's community there. You're around people that believe the same, which is important. Yeah. It's just not like if I'm not there, because we know a lot of family members, friends that do not attend church
and won't,
that are believers
and will not.
And they won't, but it's just like they're not any worse off. No. You know what I mean? Like, as far as getting into the kingdom, than those that attend regularly are.
And one of the things I found too is where we close this is so many people have so much time to determine whether you are going to heaven or hell.
Yeah, what is that?
And I'm kind of always wondering to myself, are you sure you getting in?
Yeah, because how you know you ain't never been there?
Because like last I heard, there was no God Jr.
That is true.
Or Jesus Jr. on the face of the earth. So like
that is true.
Give you like a secret roll, a secret database, which
got
is like
secret scroll.
That person over there, they ain't getting in. They got a tattoo. This person over here, they ain't getting in. Like I always found like the people who have the most time to worry about other folk who ain't doing nothing.
Oh my gosh.
You know what I'm saying? Like for real.
It's very true. And I think, it's that scripture that talks about you over here worrying about, the big log over in your neighbor's eye, but you ain't worrying about the little splinter you got in your own. Like, you focus, us focusing on our own, working out our own salvation and allowing others to do the same. Yeah. But then also, being there to help others in their walk as others are there to help us as well. But don't nobody got the corner on righteousness except Jesus himself. Don't nobody got the corner. Like, sometimes we act so much like we got it all together. We know who getting in and out. We know what sins make it, what sins don't. We know all this stuff. And it's just like, shut up. Like that ain't even how it goes. Yeah. And I've been guilty of that in my walk with the Lord, just subscribing to different things because that's what was said or that's just what the group did. So it's like, I got to think that same way too. Some of the stuff was even in my own family. Like, well, we don't do that. And so I just ain't do that either. It was dead wrong. Yeah. But thought I was right because that's what the majority was saying and doing. And it's like, we got to have our own individual relationships with God. If that does mean we attend church regularly, great. But if it doesn't look like that, that's okay too.
Yeah. And I think, and we really closing. I know. I told y'all I'm a minister and I grew up Baptist. We had like 3 closes. But I think to sum this thing up, can you not go to church regularly, right? And still love God and still have a close relationship with him? Yes.
You can.
But it's not one size fits all. Okay. Some of you may still need to go to church. Some of you may still need that community, support and accountability.
Yeah.
Some of you may still need to tithe to a church. It's whatever God is instructing you to do. The important thing that you need to walk away from this is don't let man tell you what you need to do with your soul or dictate what you need to do with your soul. Make sure God is the ultimate dictator, and the ultimate, leader. And at the end of the day, if you follow what God is telling you to do, everything will be all right, even if it makes you the villain, right? Which is very important. Being a villain also means following God, because you can't please everybody if you're following God. You're going to go against a lot of people, right? So we hope that this was an encourager for you, that this was informative for you. And send us some comments, inbox us, email us, what have you. And hey, we love you guys.
Yeah.
Take care.
Peace.